Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where people put themselves on the spot, waiting for your judgment. Sit comfortably and listen carefully, as you're about to hear today's cases. You hold the hammer and you apply the law. Let us have your verdict down in the comments section. As always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Let's head on to our first case. Case 1. Am I the bad person for not wanting to wear my grandma's dress for my grandpa on his deathbed? I'm 18 years old F, and my grandpa is in his late 70s and on his deathbed currently. He has dementia and Alzheimer's, and well, you know the whole starter pack. When he sees me, he tends to get really confused and think I'm my grandmother in her prime. My mom and my uncles always comment on how much I look like my grandma as well. When I see my grandfather, he always calls me by my grandma's name and asks me to put on his favorite dress. I usually just laugh it off because I know he means no harm by it, and he's just confused. I remind him every time that I am your granddaughter, and it's very obvious he doesn't understand what's going on. Recently, his health has taken a turn for the worst, and he's in his final days. My grandma has stated that the dress he's talking about is the dress she wore the night they met, and essentially fell in love, and has asked if I could wear it for him, so he could see her one more time the day he fell for her. I feel really uncomfortable by this request. I'm not my grandmother, and I don't really want to deceive my grandpa like that. So no one in my family is pressuring me to do this. I am not being forced into this dress at all, but I haven't given them an answer yet. I want to say no, but I just feel really bad because I know how much my grandma wants it, and how much my grandpa would probably love it. I know my grandma won't be upset if I say no, but she would be a little bummed out. She really wants my grandpa to have a good final days. But isn't it a little bit weird? I mean, I'm his granddaughter dressed up as his wife. I don't know, maybe this post isn't as interesting or problematic as other posts I read on here, but this is just something going on in my life that I need answers to, and I would appreciate the feedback. Would I be the bad person if I said no? What do you guys think? Lay down your ruling in the comments section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 2. Am I the bad person for telling my future MIL that if she wants me to have a large wedding, she can pay for it? 29F here. I recently got engaged to my fiancé, Ryan, 30M. He was actually my high school sweetheart, but we broke up during college and have been back together for the past 7 years. Some context is that I am the youngest of 3 girls. My parents are both doctors, and they have done quite well for themselves. I think my future in-laws think they're much wealthier than they actually are. Most of their money has gone into mine and my sister's educations, and so they still have to think about money and how much they're spending. My parents were kind enough to pay for my private college, but I had to cover law school on my own. I still have close to $100K to pay off. I make good money now and will be able to pay it off on my own. But also, Ryan and I want to buy a house and have children, and so the debt is stressful. Also, a sizable percent of my salary for the past several years has gone towards paying off my debt. My dad pulled me aside when I got engaged and told me that he set aside $75K for each of his daughters for weddings. My oldest sister had a huge, fancy wedding and spent most of the money on a ceremony. My other sister had a modest wedding and put the rest of the money towards a down payment on a house. My dad basically said the money is mine to do what I want with. Whether I want to spend it all on a wedding or put all of it towards my student loans or something else. I spoke to Ryan about this, and we agreed that I should put all of the money towards my student loans. Neither of us care about having a huge wedding, and we'd much rather get my debt paid off quickly so we could start saving for a house. My parents think this is a smart decision and are happy I'm using the money sensibly. They also know I've never been someone who cared about having a fancy wedding and always thought I'd use the money for something else. When I told Ryan's parents that we're going to do a courthouse wedding, my future MIL Jan was upset. Jan said that my oldest sister had a beautiful wedding and asked why I didn't want the same. I explained the situation to her and that I'd rather put the money my parents set aside towards my loans and have a small celebration with our close family and friends. When I say small, I mean our parents' siblings, 1 or 2 close friends, and that's it. To be honest, if it was up to me, I just want it to be me and Ryan. But I think both of our families would be hurt by this, and so I want to include at least parents and siblings. Jan told Ryan and I that we were being selfish, since weddings are about uniting families and celebrating with loved ones, and we're putting our needs before that. She also said that we're both attorneys and aren't exactly struggling to pay the bills. She asked if we'd consider putting half of the money towards the ceremony and half of it towards my loans, and we said no. She then started saying that she had a ton of relatives who wanted to be included in the ceremony and will be disappointed that they don't get to see Ryan get married. Ryan told his mom she was being a hypocrite since she literally eloped and didn't include her family in the ceremony. Jan started crying and saying it was a huge mistake to not have her family there, and she didn't want Ryan to make the same mistake. I stepped in and told Jan that if she wanted to pay for a wedding where all of her relatives would be included, then Ryan and I would be happy to take her up on it. But the money would have to come from her since she's the one who cares about us having a large wedding. This upset Jan, and she told me that the woman's family is supposed to pay for the wedding. She said that it's selfish that 2 doctors wouldn't help with my student loans and also pay for a ceremony. This set me off, since my parents have been extremely generous with me, including paying 100% of my undergrad tuition. I told Jan that my parents have worked hard for my sisters and I to have everything we needed growing up and to pay for our educations, and I don't feel right asking them to contribute to a fancy ceremony on top of everything they've already given me. Ryan was furious and told his mom that he doesn't want her at our wedding if she's going to act like this. We ended up leaving, and Ryan hadn't spoken to his mom since. I talked to my oldest sister, and she thinks I'm being selfish too. She says I should put some of the money towards a wedding and some of it towards my loans, so our families could enjoy the special occasion. But I've never wanted a big wedding, and I'm stressed about my loans and just want them paid off. AITA? What do you guys think of this one? Let us know in the comment section, and let's move on to our next story. Case 3. Am I the bad person for snapping at my parents and kicking them out after they tried to force me to rehome my autistic son's therapy dog? So here's the deal. I, 35M, have a 10-year-old son, Ethan, who's on the autism spectrum. He's a bright kid but struggles with severe anxiety, especially around new people or changes in routine. About a year ago, we got him a therapy dog, Max, a golden retriever. Max has been a godsend since Ethan bonded with him. His meltdowns have significantly decreased, and he's become more independent. Honestly, Max has been a lifeline for Ethan and our family. Now, the backstory. My parents, 62M and 60F, are difficult. Growing up, they were very much the tough love kind of parents, never really understanding mental health or special needs. They've always been critical of how we parent Ethan, saying we coddle him too much. I've had to set boundaries with them multiple times, but they've never fully respected them. A few months ago, my parents ran into some health issues and decided to downsize their home. They asked if they could move in with us for a while until they figured out their next step. After much hesitation, we agreed to let them stay. But we laid out ground rules, especially when it came to Ethan. I was very clear that our routine, especially involving Max, was non-negotiable. At first, everything was okay. My parents kept their distance when Ethan needed space and tried to be understanding, but I could tell they weren't thrilled with Max being in the house. My dad's not much of a dog person, and my mom kept making snide remarks about hygiene and how it's just an animal. Then came the incident. Last week, I came home from running errands to find Ethan in a full-blown meltdown. He was inconsolable, crying and shaking, and Max was nowhere to be found. I immediately asked my parents what happened, and my mom, completely calm, said that she'd rehomed Max while I was out because she felt the dog was enabling Ethan's anxiety rather than helping it. She didn't even ask me. She just took it upon herself to contact some friend of a friend who needed a dog and gave Max away. I lost it. I screamed at them both. I asked them what in the world they were thinking, and they said they were trying to help Ethan by cutting the cord and helping him be more independent. My dad chimed in saying, "You can't let him depend on a dog forever," as if Ethan's progress was something to just be discarded because they didn't like it. I was absolutely livid. I told them they had no right to make decisions about Ethan's therapy or what's best for him. I didn't even give them a chance to argue back, i.e. Ethan. But I don't buy it. They disrespected my family, my son, and everything we've worked so hard for just because they don't understand him. Am I the bad person for throwing them out after they took Max away without asking? You've sat down. You've listened. Now, it's time to state your ruling. What is it going to be? Let us have it down in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more cases like these. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.